Hey guys, it's Mrs. Conway. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make a solutions video for the Simplifying Expressions Review worksheet. That way, if you finish it tonight at home, you can watch this video and check to make sure that you got all the right answers. And if there's a couple you got wrong, you can see what it is that you did wrong. So, word of warning. If you watch this video and just copy down the answers, you're not going to do as well on the quiz tomorrow. So, make sure that you attempt each problem on the worksheet before you watch the solutions video. All right, let's go. So the first couple problems here are simplifying using order of operations. So you do need to practice because on the quiz you'll have to show each step now. If you want to put it all in a calculator to make sure you got the right answer, by all means do that. But you need to know how to use order of operations. So when we look at this first problem, first thing we should do is exponents, or well, really the very first thing we should do is parentheses. But because these two things are separated, we could do them at the same time. For the sake of example, I will just do parentheses first. So we'll leave this 4 to the third divided by 8 minus 6 is 2. Next we should do exponents. Oh, and remember when we're doing order of operations, that's PEMDAS. Although technically you should always use order of operations when you simplify. Okay, next we have 10 subtract 4 to the third power is 64, and then remember to check that in your calculator. What you're going to do is 4 times 4 times, and I still have divide 2. And then remember, division comes before subtraction. So I have to do 64 divide 2 before I do 10 subtract. So it's going to be 10 subtract negative 64 divided by 2 is negative 32. Again, if you just want to check. And then 10 subtract 32, you might think, okay, the difference between 32 and 10 is 22, and it's minus 32, which is bigger than 10, so it's going to be negative, or you can just take a calculator, 10 subtract 32, it'll give you negative 22. Your final answer is negative 22. Sorry if my camera is shaking a little, I'm writing on my computer screen. I couldn't think of another way to do this and still have the camera up. Okay, so the next problem, we have division, subtraction, multiplication, and powers. So the first one is going to be exponents, no parentheses. So we're going to do 20 divide 5 minus 4 times 2 plus 3 to the second power is 9. And then next we do division and multiplication. You can do those in the same step. Remember, multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction, you do at the same time and left to right. So 20 divided 5 is 4, subtract 4 times 2 is 8, plus, and remember this is negative 4 really times 2, which is negative 8, so that's why it stays minus 8. And then we add and subtract left to right. 4 subtract 8 is negative 4, plus 9 is 5. So my final answer would be 5 for this one. Alright, so next we have combining like terms. So when you're combining like terms, I like to start with the highest power. So for this one, I have 10h squared, and there's no other h squareds, so I'm just going to take that term and I'm going to write it down here. 10h squared. And then I'm going to look through, I have h's and g's left, so I have 2h and an h. And I don't know if we've done one like this in class, but if you just have h, hopefully you know that that means 1h. So that would be plus 3h. Hopefully you've seen one of those before. Okay, and then our last is g. So we have negative 5g and then minus g, which again, that's like 1g. So actually this means we have negative 6g's. So your final answer there should be 10h squared plus 3h minus 6g. All right, for number 4, we now have a bunch of x squareds and y squareds. So again, I'm going to start by highlighting. I'm going to start with x squareds, 10x squared, x squared, and that's it. So when I do those two, that's going to be 11x squareds. Remember, the squared doesn't change when we combine like terms. You have to multiply to change that. And then we have just this 7y squared that I'm just going to bring down here. 8x and 4x. And then lastly, we have this negative 3y that's all by itself, so I'm just going to write minus 3y. So that's it. You should get 11x squared plus 7y squared plus 12x minus 3y for number 4. All right, the next two are just distributive property, although it does look like we have some tricky negative stuff that we need to make sure we understand. So for this first one, it's pretty straightforward. You have negative 4 on the outside, and remember with distributive property, we're multiplying. Negative 4 times 9 is negative 36, and there's a w on there. And then here we have negative 4 times negative 2 is going to be positive 8. So negative 36w plus 8. Now number 6 might throw some of you off. There's two ways to think of it. One, I like to put a 1 right there, so I'm distributing negative 1. You can also think of it as making both of the things inside the parentheses opposites. Either way, negative 1 and negative 5 makes positive 5x, and negative 1 and positive 10 makes minus. Alright, so let's talk about some vocabulary, which I've thrown in there a little bit, so hopefully you got, but if you didn't, this might be the thing you're watching the video for. Coefficients are the numbers in front of the variables. So for this, it's 9, negative 3, and 10. Or sorry, not 10, because 10 is the constant term. It doesn't have a variable. It can only be a coefficient if it's on a variable. And then number of terms is we just count how many things are being added or subtracted. So in this case, there's going to be 3 terms. For this one, the coefficients are negative 5, with a with just 1 there, nothing there, it's 1 and 3. And the constant is the number by itself, which is negative 4. And then the number of terms is 1, 2, 3, and 4. That won't be on the quiz, but it is good things to know. If you didn't know that, now you do. Okay, so the last couple problems are just practice distributing and combining like terms. So for number 9, hopefully you started by distributing 5 to the 1 and the 3x. So you're going to have 5 plus 8x plus 2x. Just carry straight down because you don't have any multiplication there. And then we have 8x and 2x are like terms. So you should end up with 10x plus 5. For number 10, the thing to distribute here, remember, if there's no number in front of the parentheses, it's a 1. So you're distributing negative 1, the whole thing, negative 1 to 3h and negative 1. The negative 4h just carries down, minus 3h plus 1 plus, I'm going to make that a 1h right now just so I remember when I combine like terms. And then I have negative 4h minus 3h plus 1h, which altogether is going to be negative 7 plus 1, which is negative 6h. And then I just carry down the plus. Okay? Hopefully you're doing well so far. So next we have negative 2x minus 5x plus 20, because I'm distributing negative 5 to the x and the negative 4. So that becomes negative times negative, which is positive. So then I combine the negative 2 and the negative 5 to get negative 7x plus horrible x. Now we have y squared plus 6 times 2y minus 1 minus 5y squared plus y. So we have to distribute the 6, 1y. So I have 2y squareds. Well, it's 1y squared and negative 5y squared, so really I have negative 4y squareds. And then I have 12y and 1y, so I have 13 total y's. And then this negative 6 just carries down. All right, we're almost done. Just 3-4 more problems. So first we have this one. See, now we have 2 sets of parentheses. So first we have to distribute the 7 to both of those, and then the 10 to these two. So we have 7 times 4 is 28 minus 14n. And then we have plus, but not. It's a plus sign, but then right here I'm going to have 10 times negative 3, so it's going to be negative 30, so minus 30, plus 10. I have 2 n terms. This is going to be negative 4n, and then minus 2, because 28 and negative 30 is negative 2. And then our last distribute and combine problem, we're going to have another 2 sets of parentheses, but this second set of parentheses has a negative and then nothing. So it's -1 distributing to v and -1. And the first one is -3 to -3v and -5. So -3 times -3 is positive 9v plus 15 minus 1v plus 1, because -1 times -1 is positive 1. All right, then we have 9v minus 1 is going to be 8v, and 15 plus 1. So hopefully you've done all those right so far. If you haven't, go back and fix the ones you did wrong. That's the whole point of this video. And then the last two are Silly Sally and Silly Billy problems. So with these, I think we talked about this in class. The goal is to identify the error. So you're not necessarily going to be just telling me the correct answer. I mean, I do want to know the correct answer, but I also want you to point out specifically what the error was. So if we look at this question right here, it says, Silly Sally simplified the following expression, 10x minus 4y plus 2x. Her final answer was 12x squared minus 4y. Now, I do agree that one of the best ways to approach these is to start by doing the problem. So here we'd have 10x and 2x should be 12x minus 4y. Now you compare what you got with what Silly Sally did. She put a power of 2 on the 12x squared. That means she doesn't get that when you add like terms, the exponent can't change. So down here, I would type or write in your handwriting because you have a worksheet, Silly Sally's. So you should start by saying, Silly Sally's mistake was. And then you can add in what you think her mistake was. That she thought when you add 2 y's, you get y squared. But when you combine like terms, the variables never change. And then if you want to add in the correct answer should be, then that can help. But I'll be honest, I've definitely had people shoot themselves in the foot with that. Because I've had people that put what they thought the correct answer was, but in fact they were wrong and they would have been fine. But then because they put the wrong correct answer, they ended up losing points. So think about that before you make sure you're right, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay, so now for the Silly Billy problem, Silly Billy simplified 4 minus 2x minus 5, and he got 8x minus 20. Again, I think a good approach to these is to go ahead and solve it first, just to see, sorry, this is evaluating, to evaluate it to see what it should be. 4 minus 2x plus 5, which would simplify to negative 2x, 9, because 4 and 5 make 9. So he's nowhere near. So this one's hard because doing the correct answer didn't really get me close to finding the incorrect answer. Where would 8 have come from? How would you get 8 with these numbers? Oh, 4 and 2. 4 times 2 is 8. And 4 times 5 is 20. So Silly Billy's mistake was instead of distributing -1, he distributed 4. So his answer was very off. So Silly Billy's mistake. So again, these should always start with Silly Billy's mistake or Silly Billy's error. I like mistake because we talk about in my class, mistakes help you learn. Mistakes help you progress in your learning. So Silly Billy made a mistake, but he could learn from it. So you're telling him what he needs to do. Was that he multiplied 4 instead of by. And it looks like he even multiplied that. He just completely lost the negative. And that's really all you need. He multiplied by 4 instead of by -1. And that would tell me that you understand what's going on. So hopefully you wrote something along those lines. Just don't forget to actually address what the mistake is. It's all well and good to tell me what the correct answer should be, but if you never tell me what the mistake was, I don't know that you understood what they did wrong. That is another level of thinking to do that. If you tell me the correct answer, you'll get some points, but you won't get all your points unless you also tell me what the mistake was that was made. All right, so that is the solutions video. Hopefully it was helpful for you. And remember, there is a quiz on this stuff. It's probably tomorrow, unless you're watching it after you did the quiz, in which case you probably are doing it so you can retake the quiz. All right, so if you need more practice with any of this stuff, you can always go on to Delta Math and do more practice in any given section. So if you needed more practice on simplify and or distribute and combine like terms, go back and do more practice on lesson 4. If you need more practice on just distributive property or just combine like terms, go back and practice those lessons. And if you need more practice on order of operations, you can just keep going. Even if you've done all 5 problems on a Delta Math, you can keep going. So, if you're ready for the test, quiz, good luck on that. And if you're going to go study more, good luck on that. And I'll see you later.